I went down to Waterloo Street in Glasgow, where Extinction Rebellion had basically blocked the street. They had a number of speakers there. There was people singing songs. I have to say, both protests very, very quiet. In terms of there was no trouble at all. It was a peaceful protest, just trying to get that message across. And of course, Extinction Rebellion had actually blocked off, outside the JP Morgan offices. So they directed their anger, if you want to call it, towards the banking group, which had obviously taken measures and preempted what was going to happen because they'd already fenced off the front door and brought in their own security. Obviously, there was a huge police presence there, hundreds and hundreds of police officers, and obviously a helicopter flying above as well, just to keep an eye on things. But I have to say, it was managed very well. However, people then went on the march from Waterloo Street and went up and started walking further on round the corner and heading throughout the streets of Glasgow. Now, you have to say that when I spotted that, the police presence was something of quite extreme, you'd have to say, covering the small amount of protesters. We're talking hundreds, not thousands, and there's certainly more police there than there was protesters, which did kind of make people stand back and go, hang on a second, is this really, really required for the small amount of protesters that we're actually talking about? They did end up later on at night on the Squinty Bridge, and they were sort of fenced in, but certainly looked after in that area. So that's what happened yesterday. Today we've got the Greenwash Parade, Greenwash Procession, which is going to take place from Glasgow's West End and then out in town. So I'll be going to that and finding out exactly what's going to go on there. But I mean, there's lots of protests, and with Extinction Rebellion, they're going to do their own thing. They're going to have things like Waterloo Street yesterday, where nobody really expected that to happen. So that's something that these protests are going to creep up all over the city now and again. I suppose as we get closer to the big one on Saturday, we'll see more of those.